right. Good morning, everyone. Let's dive into this. I'm Eric. I'm the one that does the analysis on this channel, and I stay pretty consistent. So if you've seen these videos before, you'll have a good idea of what I'm going to do. But today we're just going to take a look at a few of the AI stocks that are out there. And I'm just going to run through these. Let me set my timer on my phone because God knows I get a little long-winded. I love trading. I love talking about trading. I was about to do this analysis for myself on my podcast last weekend. I started looking at a company called BBAI, BigBear AI, and I wanted to go ahead and just take a look at some of its competitors. So let's start off with Guardforce AI, symbol G. Let's see, what would that be? I can't even think. G as in golf, F as in foxtrot, A as in alpha, I as in India, GFAI in case you can't see it. And I'm using TradingView for my charting software. If you have any questions as well about this video, any of my other videos, or if you just want to reach out, if you want to even learn how to do what I'm doing, you are welcome to email me. You can send an email to Eric at Income Trading 101. In fact, it wouldn't be a bad thing. Let's see if I can type that in the channel or type that on screen before we move forward. It's been a while. I normally don't write on these charts. I just normally go ahead and dive into charting. But let's see if there we go. There's the text. Eric at income trading101.com. And that way, anyone who does have a question, you're more than welcome to go ahead and just email me. So we'll just sit that there. We'll move it on down, actually, because it doesn't need to be big focus. And let's see. We'll make it bigger, though. There we go. Boom. Eric at Income Trading 101. If you have any questions, feel free to hit me up. But let's go ahead and get into today's analysis. All right, so starting off with Guardforce AI, like I said, symbol G as in golf, F as in foxtrot, A as in alpha, I as in India. This thing has rallied a ton today. Let's look at this. Today is Wednesday, April the 12th. And if you look up here in the upper left-hand corner, it shows you the activity. So you can see it opened $17.12 per share. It had a low of $16.95, so it dropped about 17 cents. And since then, it's had a high of $28.44. We currently are about $2.50 off the high. But wow, what a day, right? Roughly 56% change in one day. Trying to see, one of the things I like about TradingView is that it does actually include, they put information right on the chart. So it doesn't look like there's any new news on this chart. They had earnings. Their earnings date was back on March the 1st. So their earnings has been out. It's been out there for a while now. No surprises on earnings. And it even had a split. Look at that, a 1-for-40 split. That is quite a lot. All right, let's just go ahead and get into this. So I like to first take a look. I'm using daily pricing right now, but I want to see how much data we actually have because that will help influence my decisions or influence my analysis. And you can see this. Let's go ahead and tighten this back up. Oh, it doesn't look like it wants to play. So let's reconfigure it. Boom. I'm just going to start all the way over. I hate when it does this because what will end up happening is, there you go. All right, I don't want to lose that. Sorry to have this happen live. Technical difficulties. Boom. we just start over. The good old, off on switch. There we go. All right, so we're going to go ahead and start. I just want to see how much data we have on this company, because that will help me get a sense of whether or not we are looking at a high point or a low point. And as you can see, we are not looking at a high point at all. This company actually had, you can see it had a high back in October of 2021, a high of about 100 and, let's see what that says, a high of $176. Wow. I like that because that's a good indication that this company could do a lot more. Now, it obviously had that 1-for-40 split. I'm just looking at what other information is available, because the goal, technical analysis, is a piece of the analysis. Look at that, a 1-for-3 split then. It's a piece of the analysis, but you really do have to be aware of what's going on with the company. You never want to be blindsided just because you only looked at the information one specific way, right? So I want to get as much information as I can before I get started on analyzing a company. So let's go ahead. You can see it was sort of dead, and 2023 kind of gave this thing new life. So we're going to go ahead and add some moving averages. I like to look at the 10, the 20, and the 60 day. So I'm just going to go ahead and quickly update these so that I get the analysis I want. So the 10 day will be my short term, which is my fast moving, my buy signal. The 20 day ends up being my medium range. It's my sell signal, so I turn that to 20. And then I like to have a 60 day, and thankfully we have enough data for that. I create a 60 day because the 60 day is a good reference to a longer term trend. 60 days would be, because there are 20 trading days a month, roughly, a 60 day ends up being more of your 3-month average. The 20 day ends up being a monthly, and the 10 day is just a 2 week. So this is great. What I love about this right now, so you have the 10 has just taken off, right? Obviously taken off. It crossed the 60 day back here on, let's see, what day would that have been? Thursday, April 6th, so just about a week ago. And the 10 day crossed the 20 back here on Monday, April 3rd. The issue I have right now is that the 20 day is still below the 60, but I think that'll change with a couple more days of upward movement. And then that will have, at least at the daily level, all three of these signals in line. But right now, this definitely is mixed. I call it more of a convergence because the three moving averages are not in line. But not to fret, we're going to check it out at a 4-hour time frame. At the 4-hour, you can see we definitely are bullish. This is definitely bullish in shorter time frames. Obviously, if I kick on down to hourly as well, much more bullish. That was just a strong open for this thing today. Opened 17.21 and then went on to $28 and then came on off a little bit. But this thing is still looking bullish. Let's look at it a little further out though. So at the weekly, you have a bit of convergence because you have the 10 day above the 20, but both of those are below the 60. So that's not a clear bullish signal yet. At the 1 month, I have to tighten this up actually. So at the 1 month range, you are looking, and there isn't even enough data. We don't have 60 months worth of data, but you do have a little bit of 20 kicking in. And it was looking bearish, but that's because of where this company started out. It started out so strong. Let's take this back to the daily, expand this out, give us a little bit of a view of what's going on. There we go. All right. So let's just go ahead and get rid of the moving averages. I'm not going to Fibonacci this either. I am going to go ahead and look though at the, I love the MACD. I think the MACD is very useful. And then we're going to look at some strength and some, support and resistance really lines and possibly even a little volume. So let's look at the MACD. We'll add that in there. And you can see this is sort of tracked a little bit, but when you didn't have many big movements, these signals really will get you chopped up. You really want bigger price movements for this MACD to matter. And you can see back here, you had a bearish cross in the oversold zone, in the overbought zone. That happened back on February the 15th. We had a bullish cross of the MACD back on March the 24th, and prices really have rallied since then. It's also important to understand the weaknesses of each signal, and I get into that when I'm teaching people how to use technical analysis to trade. This signal can be all of these signals can be very tough to trade on because they change, like they get recalculated when new data arrives. So the crossover that you thought happened yesterday may not happen until today, or it may have happened 3 days ago. So this all gets revalued, but that's just part of understanding and knowing what the information is giving you. Let's take this to a lower level just to see. So you can see on the 4 hour, the crossover happened on Monday the 13th. You had this short. You had a couple of misfires here, but that's why when I'm using the MACD, I like to not only see a cross either in the oversold or overbought, but I like to wait for it to cross the zero line down here, and that ended up happening. And you wouldn't have caught all of this move. You would have caught a bit of it. You would have had to hold out for this drop here. And I mean, man, if you stayed in it, you would have caught. I mean, imagine catching even, $12 or $10 and seeing your stock go up to $28 in the span of a week. Even sitting here down, it's off, $2 today from its high, but man, $3 from its high. But what an amazing day. And if we take it lower, seems to be a little bearish right now. No, just two little bearish moments. Let me take it down to the 30-minute level even. Yeah, this is still looking good at all of these shorter time frames. Obviously, as we saw with the moving averages, if we were to kick it up higher, it's going to higher time frame, meaning weekly or monthly. It's going to be a bearish signal because of where the stock where it came from. Let's look at some support and resistance. I think that'll be more valuable than even looking at like Fibonacci retracement and whatnot. So first off, I'm going to use just the horizontal line signal. It tends to be a little cleaner. There we go. So if we start looking at, I like to look for points that have had recurring themes, right? Maybe there. This was a previous high as well. Let's see if it'll give it to me. Nope. Let's do that again. That was a previous one. This region 2 could be one. And let me show you what I'm actually looking at. So what I'm seeing when I look for these support and resistance, really, I'm looking at, points that had some significance with regards to pricing, right? So here you see back on, when would this have been? December the 28th, prices dropped there, bounced on up. And then what made this really more important is that it also provided support in early January of 22. And once it crossed through, you could see how once that cross was made, prices really fell off. I like looking at this region down here, let me toss in some other, just to clarify it. We're going to change some colors, just so I want to make sure that you guys are following me. So I think this one, we're going to change the color to red. This one, we're going to change the color to yellow. And this one up here, we're going to change the color to blue. So there we go. So in the near term, I think that this price, this $23 price, and we'll see if it holds today. If that price holds today, that would be a nice support. The reason that support matters is because of it was previously resistance in February. It also you can see prices, it played resistance here back in February of 22. So wow, both Februarys that price was reached. And then prices sort of stuck around it during this May of 22 region. So there might be some significant support there. And then this next volume, where I'm saying might be resistance, it actually could be the next price target, would be $35, because this price range was reached. You see it played resistance back in April of 22, also played resistance in May of 22. And if we break through that, we start to reach for this previous region, the $40.56 range, 56 cents range, played some significance previously there too. So I'm going to do one more thing for this one. I'm going to add a volume profile. And what I'm using this for is I want this to show me where, from a volume standpoint, are the most significant areas of volume, because this could also play part of this. So down here, this price of, what would that be, 14, that's where you see real support. So I'm hoping this line here, this red line that I created, that's closer to our top today, the $23.60 range. I'm hoping that is the new support, because that was the previous resistance. But you can see our highest volume on the daily range, at least, is still consolidated right here down towards this $14 range. So a lot of when you have a stock that moves this quickly, there's a lot that's on the table. So we'll just have to see what happens in the coming hours, even, because this thing is moving, and the coming weeks. So that's it for Guardforce. Let's go ahead and jump over to our next one, which is going to be C3 AI, which has symbol AI, Alpha India. You can see that it saw a top last week, back on May the 3rd, almost 2 weeks ago now. April the 3rd, I'm sorry. That was last week. And now it's come off quite a bit since then. Also had some news. This ended up being a Wall Street Bets kind of meme stock. So it's gotten some juice, and they have an earnings date coming up in June. So about a month and a half out for earnings. Previous earnings were strong, but even after strong earnings, you see it came off. Strong earnings back here in December, and the stock still came off. Strong earnings, and you saw a gap down. Strong earnings, and it did roll up, but it didn't really stay up there. So I'm just going to squish this in. I want to see how much data we actually have and where this company has been. Looks like it's been, there we go. So it looks like it IPO'd. Interesting. I haven't seen a dinosaur. It's the very beginning. That's awesome. I love TradingView. Okay, so looks like it IPO'd back in December 9th of 2020. That's a lot. Hell of a time to get started, especially given that it was the pandemic. So let's go ahead and just stretch this bad boy back out. You can see it's doing better than it has been, but we definitely have not. We haven't reached the highs of the previous opening range. So let's go ahead and add a few moving averages. The reason I like to use the same sort of styling on every chart is that it helps to make sure that I'm looking at and looking for the same signals. So let's say you have, when you're using stock, you're using a 10, a 20 day and a 30 or something like that, and you're not being consistent with that when you're looking at futures or when you're looking at cryptocurrency or anything. It just gets harder and harder to make sure that you can trust the things that you are picking up on, that you're seeing. Because sometimes you're seeing things subconsciously too, if you've done this for long enough. So, all right, let's go ahead and analyze this at the daily level. You've got the 10-day moving average above the 20-day moving average, which is above the 60. So even though you had this big drop off here, that actually is a bullish signal. All three are in line, and I like this. I like that all three are in line. Let's go ahead and take this down to the 4-hour level. At the 4-hour, you have a different story. You've got a little consolidation because the 60 period is between the 20 and the 10. I imagine this thing will turn bearish on us if we go much lower. Well, it's still converging here. I don't know if you can see that the 10 period is above that red line, the 20, but both are below the 60 period. And if so that's not really a signal. We take it to the weekly level, still bullish because the 10 period is above the 20, which is above the 60. At the monthly, you've got a bearish signal, and that's because of where the stock came from. I mean, look at this thing. It had a high in its opening month. It had a high of $183.90. We're currently looking at it at the $22 range. So quite a bit difference. Let's take this back down to the daily. We'll go ahead and I'm going to stretch that out so we can see it a little better. And let's add in a little bit of moving average, some MACD. I like the MACD. Because it does give us a good indication of momentum. This is my favorite momentum oscillator. There's several of them, but this is the one that I like the most. This cross above the overbought period, or it's in the overbought period, is less important because it didn't hold. In fact, none of these so far have held, and this is really quite interesting. You've had these drops, but right now the MACD on the daily chart level is showing bearish. This is bearish. And if we cross the zero line, it becomes really bearish. Let's see. Yeah, that's actually a bearish, more bearish to me than not. Now, I wouldn't trust it, right? I wouldn't trust it until it crosses the zero line, but this is definitely not a positive. You could arguably say it's just not enough information. So let's drop it down to the 4-hour. The 4-hour level, you have crossed the zero line. You can see both the MACD and the signal line are below that zero line. So that's actually more of a bearish momentum than anything else. Let's take it to the hourly just to see. Yeah, at the hourly, it did fully pass through, but appears to be trying to climb on back. So you have to be careful of trying to overfit these a little too much. So let's get out of this. I think in this one, I really do want to take a look at some support and resistance. So right off the bat, can't help but ignore this region. Why? Because it played resistance or played support on April the 14th, Valentine's Day. It kind of played support on March the 1st and March the 2nd. And then in this mid-March range, it played support. And then just a few days ago, this played support again last week on the 5th and the 6th. So this is obviously a a region of importance. We've had quite a few bounces off of it. So I would be sort of on the lookout right now to see if stock price were to drop $2 and go below this level of support, then I think it'd be a strong likelihood that the support would turn into resistance. And let's also go ahead. I do, by the way, like the fact that we have higher highs happening here. So, if you were to draw a trend line there, roughly, you see a period of higher highs, and that is bullish. So we could easily see, even if we retested this 20, if we break through the 20, I think we start to really push lower. But you could see a scenario where, an up move tomorrow or the next day could ultimately lead to another retesting above that trending line there. And our most recent high is in that $34 range. So that to me says this stock could move 50%. I mean, how about that, right? That's not bad. And we've seen a lot of movement happen here. As a last piece, let's go ahead and add in that volume profile and see what that shows us. So no surprise here that the highest volume support line is up in this region. I chose the lows as the support, but our current sort of price range is actually right around the highest volume. You do have higher volumes up here as well, and obviously the higher it gets, the lower the amount of volume, because people just weren't continuing to buy. Although some were, most of the people were trying to buy when it was much lower. So overall, I'd say this is it gives me bullish hope. But I want validation. I'd probably wait a few days before getting into this one if you're going to go long, because I think it could actually shoot higher. But you also obviously run the risk, like I said, of catching a falling knife if we were to break through. If we go another $2 down, then this thing could go quite a bit. It could get cut in half and go back into the teens pretty easily. So. That's it on that. If I were to play this just to give a trade idea, I would probably start looking at the possibility of selling put spreads to buy calls. I don't like buying options outright without selling something against it, because options do go to zero. I'm not certain this is a company that I would want the stock in. This is because it's been a Wall Street bet play as well. It might be more of a day trade than anything else. And anytime you see these big price swings, I mean, that lets you know there are people out there that are day trading this and pushing this stock around. So I'm an options guy. You can always catch my options trading podcast, The Weekly Option. It's been going for 5 years consecutively. So that's where I spend most of my time, but I do use technical analysis, and I love making these videos for you guys. So the other thing to keep track of for this stock is that there is an earnings date in about 7 weeks. So that's it. Let's go ahead and move over to BigBear. BigBear AI. I actually was looking at a covered call on this trade recently, mostly because the stock is so inexpensive. And you could get good, the option prices were at a level that I liked. So for me, it made sense to take a bit of a calculated risk, but with selling a call against the stock. And the stock is so cheap. At the end of the day, you're using so little capital that you can get actually some nice returns on this thing. So right off the bat, I like the fact that this thing has a recent high of $6.77. That's more than twice where we're trading right now. So that gives me a little bit of hope. Let's go ahead and look at where this stock has been Go all the way back. And many of these AI stocks had great, IPOs and then just struggled. So let's see. There we go. We've got the start was back in. Sorry, I love that dinosaur. The start for data. There you go. This thing IPO'd January the 17th of 2018. Went higher, dropped off, tried to plateau, fell, swung back in 2022, and then is back off here in 2023. You can also see it one positive earnings state, 5 consecutive misses, I guess, when it comes to earnings. And let's go ahead to just going to expand this out and get this back to where we want to be able to look at it. See some price swings and whatnot. Come on down, expand. And there we have it. Their next earnings is going to be in, look at that, Monday, May 8th. That's only a few weeks away. So definitely worth keeping an eye on that. See if there's any additional news. Nothing too crazy. Oh, wow. I didn't realize this a couple weeks ago. They also got rid of the company's president. So this obviously has a lot of news. And again, when you're trading technical analysis, one of the things that we end up believing is that ultimately that the price that it's trading at right now, this $2.90 or whatever, this includes all of the current known public information right now, right? So if they fired the president a couple weeks ago, that's already priced into this price that we're looking at today. But even though that's the case, you still want to make sure that you are abreast or aware of what's going on, just so that you're not missing kind of the forest for the trees, meaning you're so focused on your charts that you miss the overall picture. So let's go ahead and do our moving averages once again. And I could actually just set this up as a standard test, but I like doing it this way, because it keeps me making sure that everything is set up the way I want, but B, I want to make sure that you guys know, if you're using the same charting system, that you know how to easily change your charts around and get the same sort of analysis that I'm looking at. So right off the bat, I see a little bit of consolidation or convergence happening because the 10-day is above the 20, but it's below the 60 on the daily chart. So that means this is not a clear bullish panel, a pure bullish signal just yet. It could become that in the coming weeks, but it certainly is not that right now. Let's go ahead and look at the weekly. At the weekly, we have the same thing. The 60 is above the 10 period and the 20 period. At the monthly, just bearish right now. Not enough data for the 60 period to show up. Let's take it down on the 4 hour. So on the 4 hour, spread that out. 4 hour is bullish. There we have it. Our 10 period is above the 20, and that's above the 60. So on a 4 hour basis, this thing is looking bullish. On the 1 hour, it also is looking bullish, which means that the momentum is continuing, which is a strong positive, even though we've come off a little bit today. The momentum is still overall looking bullish at the ultra short-term level. But like I said, on the daily charts, we have not crossed over to where this is fully bullish, because the 60-day is still well above the 10-day and the 20-day. So let's move into the MACD, see where our momentum is. I'm also going to tighten this up again. Do that. Yep, there we go. Just add our MACD in there, moving average convergence, divergence. And if you also want an easy tutorial on the technical indicators that I'm using, there's a video on this channel that I made a while ago called How to Trade Stock Using Technical Analysis. Just take a look at that. It's a great video. I'll make sure I put the link in a little bit later as well. After I finish recording, it'll be in the description of this video, but it's definitely worth taking a look at. So when it comes to using the MACD, I look for crosses in the overbought or oversold period. So back here, around February 13th, you had a cross that happened in the overbought area above the zero line. And you can see that prices came on off. Now, I typically wait for prices to go below the zero line, but in this scenario, you would have missed quite a bit by waiting so long for that certainty, and you would not have gained that much. In fact, you saw another crossover in the oversold category that happened a couple of weeks ago on March the 27th. And now we almost are at a point where the MACD line is definitely crossing above the line, and the moving average and the MACD, the signal line, are moving back above the zero line. So very important indicators. I'm not really feeling all that bullish based on this indicator. I still think the moving averages were a little bit better. And the next thing I want to do is just make sure that I have an idea of some support and resistance. I'm just going to set some of these out. I like looking for previous highs. Every now and then you look at one of those previous highs and you see something you didn't know. And I'll show you what I'm looking at right now. So this previous high was also the previous high back on January the 12th of this year. It also ended up playing support in mid-February. And once prices fell below that support became resistance, and we've come on down. Now I'm using this pricing, this $1.47 roughly, as the support. So that's still about $1.45 from where we are now. You can see it also. I didn't catch this. It played some support back in mid-September of 2022. And sort of oscillated between support and resistance, became resistance here in October of 2022. And like I said, if you have any questions about how I'm doing this, why I'm doing this, feel free to email me. I have my email written up there earlier. I'll write it again here in a moment, but it is in the description. And this stock doesn't really get fun again until you really expand it out and you start to look at these previous support, like $4.42. Let me go ahead and capture that one too. That played support back here in January of 22 and in February of 22, right? So that's important to know as well, because if we were to break through, if we were to break upward beyond this $3.83, the yellow resistance line, then our next goal is going to be 60 cents higher at the $4.42 spot. And if you look here, I can tell, expand that out. Sorry, I'm moving all over the place, but I can see how even that line played a little bit of resistance back here in February of this year, and also in late January. So it's important to just have an idea. I'm going to turn this red. It's important to just have an idea of where these levels are, just so that as you're getting close to them, you know to keep an eye on them. As we're close to it, you also know that the stock is likely to almost be pulled somewhat magnetically towards these pricing regions. I'm going to add one more thing, and that's going to be the volume profile, just to see how volume is looking. So no surprises, a lot of strong volume where we are right now. Seeing as far as these horizontal, the support and resistance line, I'm seeing less volume down here for this support, and also kind of even less volume for this price range up here. So the volume isn't telling us a whole lot right now. You can look at volume as well over different time frames, so we can shorten it up and see if that changes our outcome. So right now we're looking at the 4-hour level, and it really doesn't give us a whole lot of additional information. So overall, I think this didn't mean to go weekly, just wanted the daily. There we go. I mean, this has definitely been bullish, and I like that it's been bullish, right? Got that. You also had this, found a way to break out of that bearish pattern. So, but overall, I'm not certain. The only reason I would buy this is because it's so cheap right now. And like I said, you can sell calls against the stock and actually collect a nice little, you can collect 10% if you're selling the at the money. So that's a nice built-in return for a covered call right off the bat. It doesn't matter if you're looking shorter term or longer term. Shorter term meaning April 21st expiration. Longer term meaning looking at May, which is about 7 weeks away from expiration. So let's get into our final on the day. And that's going to be Bullfrog, which always makes me think of Jeremiah was a bullfrog. If you don't know that song, it's old school, lots of fun. Listen to it, you'll get a laugh. All right, so less data. Wow, this company's only been out for a couple months. It IPO'd back here in February on Valentine's Day, and the market didn't give it a whole lot of love because it closed closer to the lows than the highs. Well, it closed, over $1 below the high of that day. It's 60 cents almost below the open. So went up a little bit, came on off, and has really struggled. Now our analysis here, moving averages are going to not matter that much. There isn't going to be a 60. We could look at the 10. The 10 is going to be skewed by the fact that you had this one day on April the 4th where it had a high of $9.50 and a low of $5.55. So almost a $4 range on that day. And it closed at $6, closer to the low. So this thing is just the momentum oscillators aren't going to matter as much either. I'll show you what I like about this. We're going to go with a trend line. I do like seeing, thought I had it. I like seeing periods of, that's the problem. Sorry, let's pull this on higher. And now I can draw a pretty little line. I like seeing higher highs and higher lows. That obviously is good. We could also take this over here and create a nice little channel that you guys know that I love. Seeing how that comes out. This is, to me, somewhat bullish with an asterisk, right? And that asterisk is that this thing could easily fall again. Let me draw another trend line. Looks like it's almost, I hadn't noticed that. Looks like it could be creating a nice little pendant there. And that really is what happened. We'll move that on down there. Look at that. It's kind of what happened there. And we saw a breakout above that. So maybe this thing is, with such little data, maybe this thing is actually bullish. We can take this to lower time frames and look at the moving averages just for consistency's sake. I told you guys earlier that I like to look at things the same way and then I was starting to analyze this thing a different way because of the lack of data. Lack of data is a problem, but we'll see what this yields. So we're going to go ahead and do this. We're going to get a 20 as well. And don't worry, I know there really aren't enough days for all three of these, but we can take it to the lower time frames to still get some use out of this this indicator and see if it's going to be something that we could trade off of. And there are some companies that trade really well against like a moving average, and then there are others that that just don't. So it's part of why you look at it and you play around with it. So at the 4-hour time frame, we see this is actually bullish because you've got the 10 period above the 20 and above the 60, right? And I think that's important because it means that these bars here may have just been outliers due to increased volume, but that price gap and then the jump higher, I'd have to really dig into the news to find out what happened on that day. It was likely industry-wide since there's no individual issue here. And of course, in these price ranges, it could easily be sort of a Wall Street bets kind of scenario. So at the 1 hour time frame, you actually, the 10 period has not pulled back above the 20. So you have a bit of convergence or consolidation. So at the 1 hour time frame, this is not necessarily, it's not a clear bullish sign. At the 30-minute, still not, because the 20 period needs to pull on higher, but it does appear to be going that direction. So, and if we go uber short, uber short, it's bullish. So, keep that in mind. The other thing too is if you know you're day trading, then using daily charts isn't going to help you, right? Because you need to figure out what's happening intraday. So day traders might actually use something like a 5-minute chart, which is showing bullish. I just have to stretch that on out so you can see the difference. But based on make sure you choose the time frame that is more in line with your trading style, right? Look at that. We're watching this thing go higher right now. So that's really important. I'm going to stop off here. We've been at this for a little while today. Again, let me put my email up because I'm always happy to answer questions, get comments. If there's a company that you'd like for me to take a look at, make a video on, let me know. I can do that as well. Just email me, eric@incometrading101.com. It's also in the description for this video. So let me know if there's something you want me to take a look at as well. If you'd like to learn how to do what I'm doing with technical analysis, and I'll show you a few more features that I don't cover in these videos. Got to have a little secret sauce, right? Let me know. We can definitely use that as well. I'll cover a few things and get you going. So thanks for watching. I know you guys are trading, so I need to get back to trading and not just studying. Like I said, I'm an options guy. If you trade options, hit me up. If you want to learn how to trade options, hit me up. And if you listen to podcasts and want to learn about option trading, I don't think there's a better one out there than the one I make. I'm obviously biased, but it's called The Weekly Option, theweeklyoption.com. So that's it. Thank you guys for watching. We'll talk to you soon. Make another video for you soon. Bye-bye.